Five. We have five. Half is not a quorum though, right? Yeah, we have half, not half plus one. We have 10 members. Yeah, we have one county. Probably no, I don't think. You have to, you have. Mark was supposed to be coming. Right? Well, if we don't. Yeah. Maybe not. Yeah, Mark told her Melanie was coming. I don't know, Darren. Just make it smaller community. One per district. All right, fine. We also, I think, have two districts one. Most of it is. Communication. Hi. All right, we do not have a quorum, but we're gonna start and do our discussion items. And if we get a quorum, we'll vote on things, but otherwise we have plenty of presentations. So we will just start with that. So at 5:39 on June 11th, I'm calling to order the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Can we do a roll call, please, Ramon?
Member Angela Bordegray, not here. Member Judith Gabriel.
Here.
Member Tony Gerlix. Member Mark McConnell, he's not here. Member Steve Pilcher.
Here.
Member Ben Pengili, not here. Member Gary Schiffmiller.
Here.
Chair Pegali.
Here.
I'm sorry. Here, but we don't have a forum.
That's all right, we can we can go ahead with the communications on the agenda. Can we still approve the agenda or no? Okay, we'll just, I know we have at least one person here for public comment. If you would come up and try to limit yourself to 2 minutes. I don't know. Yep. And if you could give your name and your district. No, you gotta push the button.
Push the button. There we go. It's green. Matt Johns, District 4. I live in the Kachina Ridge area. I'm just here to say hi. I don't have anything important in my public comments, but I can say that I've recently become more involved in local and civic issues and wanted to start attending meetings like this to understand the city's transportation, trail, and infrastructure positions that are affecting me. I'm probably a top 2% user of Santa Fe's trail systems. I'm on there at least twice a day, and I love them. And I really am excited about the opportunities they provide me and the people of our city. I'm interested not only in trail and pathway investments, but also existing facilities, how they're maintained. Things are in pretty good shape right now, but I see some issues with trail maintenance, and I try to report those into constituent services, and so far that's been pretty responsive. I also see you have some things in your agenda about how much money is involved in the projects going on around the city, some of which are these trail and bicycle projects. And I also see that there's some really interesting thing about signage. So if there's any place for me to be more engaged in providing feedback about signage, I'd be happy to do that. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for everyone. It's a really friendly group, and I really appreciate what you all have accomplished thus far because I am using it and it is awesome.
Great, thank you. Come on down.
Afternoon, Madam Chair and committee, Cal Spencer, District 1. Just a quick comment. I read in the paper the other day that now that the police are virtually fully staffed, there will be more traffic patrolling. And the quote said that included the bike trail, the bike ped trails. I think that's a good idea. I've been a regular user of them more than usual because of a recent back injury. And I've noticed all manner of motorized things on them going pretty fast. And I think we need to start monitoring that before someone gets hurt. I think I sent Romella an article out of the New York Times where a person riding a 50-mile-per-hour motorized device, I think on one of the major bridges, hit head on with another bicyclist, and both were killed. So these paths of ours were not designed for high speed. A lot of them were designed essentially as parks and rec facilities with limited sight distances, sharp turns, and just no room to move over. So please, if we have communications with the Public Safety Committee and encourage them to do some monitoring and enforcement on the trails. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comment? Okay, we have a quorum now. So can we, does anyone want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Anyone opposed? Cool. Approval of minutes from April 9th, BPAC meeting. Can I get a motion on that?
Move to approve.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Anyone opposed? I think I heard everyone. Okay, so we are moving on to communications from other agencies. First up, we have Bike Santa Fe. Is someone here from? Yeah, great. We have Genevieve Morgan.
Board member of I'm a board member of Bike Santa Fe of our organization. We had a successful we missed a month. I'm a little bit a month behind in reporting out, but we had a successful bike to work week and bike month for May and several events. People that we had, including Earth Day. We're basically gearing up. We're doing a lot more events now. Bike ballet events in particular, we're getting a lot of inquiries for various events in addition to our usual events. So we'll be doing the International Folk Art Market again, offering 3 days of that, July, and several other events that we're still sort of finalizing right now. But since we've had such a high volume of inquiries and we are wanting to expand our bike ballet options, we decided as a board that we would actually we would contract someone to take on the work of coordinating all of that. And it's sort of gotten beyond what volunteers are able to do. Gotten, more a little bit more time consuming. And so we voted as a board to contract with an individual to take over coordinating those events. And we have our program coordinator for through the summer for all these events that we have coming up. And hopefully we can take on more opportunities having them at the home to do that. So and again, all of our events are on the community calendar on our website. We are also individually and collectively looking at putting considerations to the division for specific improvements based on the $100,000 budget that was passed. So obviously there's a lot of need in the city and we're
Great, thank you.
Genevieve, if I could add just about the meeting that we, Bike Santa Fe, had with Marcus Esqueda. And what Genevieve is referring to, that another board member, Ramon Martinez, and I met with Marcus Esqueda, who presented here a few meetings prior about the 100,000. And it was a very productive meeting in that Marcos was solicitous of us to help him identify what are the priority areas in the city with respect to bicycles, which was a great invitation. So we, as Bike Santa Fe, will be collecting. We have surveys that we've already done. We have MPO crash data. We are currently, as a board, soliciting all kinds of this sorts of data and take to Marcus, sit down with him, begin to prioritize them.
A question regarding Bike to Work Day. Were you able to get any counts at how many people participated?
Santa Fe did not, but
There were many people. We can
there
go
were many people. That's the word. There were many people.
more than last year.
Hopefully just as many bicycles as people.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to track, right? Because ideally people are biking from all over the city to their workplaces. So I'm not sure where they would self-report if they were able to, but maybe we can consider that.
Just a comment, when I worked up in the Puget Sound area, Seattle area, they were establishing advertised pit stops where you could stop in, get your bike adjusted or get a donut or something on your way to work. But that also helped them get counts that way. Next to your donuts.
We had some donuts, but unfortunately it's hard to tell the number of people from the number of donuts that
Yeah.
disappeared. We had at least that many people. Yes. Thank you. Ramel, is Ryan here for Safe Routes to School? He's on leave, okay. So next we have Public Safety Advisory Committee.
The Public Safety Committee did meet last month and spent the entire meeting talking about ARUs. The Advanced Rescue Units, alternate response, thank you. We going to talk nothing but acronyms, you forget what they stand for. Anyway, so I think that discussion will continue in next week's meeting. I don't have the agenda yet. Thank Spencer for his comment. I'll make sure I bring that up with him at the meeting next.
Thank you. Next we have Santa Fe Metropolitan Planning Organization. I think Leah and Carrie are here.
There we go. I'll start with, you had requested that we give you an update on the bike racks, which is very exciting. Thank you, Counselor Fagali. She helped, coordinate with tourism to get funding, $10,000 for bike racks for downtown. With that, we were able to purchase 30 of the custom Santa Fe bike racks. The price really goes down when you are able to order that many. So that was great. The bike racks, came in last Thursday. We moved them into our MPO van on Monday. I'm not a swear anymore, but I was. And now we are working with Heather Lamboy, land use director, to get approval. We have, I sketched out and sent to Pat almost 30 rack locations. I didn't do quite that many because I thought maybe some demand would come up later. But we have locations that meet the land use requirements sketched out. We just need to get approval from Heather before we move forward and start coordinating with facilities to actually get them installed. So I think we'll get some in the ground hopefully soon, and we'll keep you guys updated. Otherwise, for MPO updates, I'll add that we are, well, this is not exactly bike ped related, but it does, everything on our streets does affect bike and ped people. So we're working on our traffic impact analysis guidelines update to change the left turn warrants, because we found, at least in one case, that it was allowing a left turn on Rufina Circle, where it's really you don't have enough traffic volumes to really in our mind need that. And of course, then that meant that they would have to blow up the road, which makes it feel less safe for everyone who used that road. And also, according to data, it will likely be less safe. And I guess that's where I'll turn it over to Carrie.
Thanks, Leah. Not sure if,
It's up now.
oh, there it is. Okay. Thank you.
Move the whole microphone
Yeah.
down.
That's probably better. Thank you. Very wise. So, Chair Fagali, members of the committee, my name is Carrie Tremblatt. I'm the newest member of Santa Fe MPO. I joined in January, so coming up on 6 months. But in response to some of the conversations we heard at the last BPAC meeting in April, we wanted to kind of dig in a bit to e-bike usage in Santa Fe. It seems like that's a concern that's been coming up in public comments, and also something that you're considering how the city should be managing this. So we thought a good place to start would be to kind of support this conversation would be to just see what we can find out about e-bike usage in general. So I'll kind of just go over how popular are they, how much usage do we have nationally and in Santa Fe, and then really quickly go into, you know, what we can tell is different about e-bike riders versus other riders, and why that's important. So just at a global level, it really is just through sales apparent that e-bikes are becoming really popular. This is just based on aggregated sales data from all over the world. So it's not specific to Santa Fe, but it shows that there's projected growth into the future. Oh, that's helpful. But we also wanted to look at local sales. So we just did a very quick poll of local businesses to see if they're seeing the same trends. And there's quite a bit of variation, but Most bike shops said they've been shocked when they look at sales, just what portion of their sales have been e-bikes. Mostly saying between like 40 and 60% sales. So another place we're able to kind of get some idea of how it's grown over the past couple of years in Santa Fe is Strava. This is by no means like a good way to generalize to the general population, because it is really just looking at users of the Strava app. And so there's quite a self-selection bias. But of Strava users, there's about 6% are using e-bikes on their rides that they're logging onto Strava. And that's up from about 2% in 2021. And then looking at the actual data on the trails, there's quite a bit of variation. Most of them are around 6%, but some of them closer to 8% of bike rides are e-bikes. And then if you look at it by the type of trip, and again, this is just Strava, so it's probably pretty skewed data, but recreational trips, about 6% of those rides are e-bikes. And this is just looking at the river trail. This isn't total of all segments in the city. But then that jumps up quite a bit when you look at commute trips. So I think one of the biggest questions that seems to come up is e-bikes obviously have much more capacity to go fast. So is that changing how fast people are riding on trails? And this is really hard to get at through the data sources that we have. But if you look at just the average speeds of segments that have no e-bikes at all compared to segments that have a high portion of e-bikes, the speeds aren't that different. The averages are slightly higher on when there's a large share of e-bikes, about 2 miles per hour higher. So that still doesn't tell you a ton, but on average, it seems that most e-bike riders are not going that much faster than analog bikes. And so I think Strava is obviously not the best source to generalize. So I wanted to look at other cities that have been collecting data on this. This is from Ride Report, which aggregates data from ride shares in other cities that have that for each mode. And so if you look at e-bike speeds based on those data, it's pretty similar and comparable to what Strava is showing, where speeds for e-bikes are between staying on average, again, under 10 miles per hour. And there was a study that compared this and found that average e-bike speeds are about 6 miles per hour compared to 5 miles per hour for conventional bikes. So in the research, it does look like e-bike purchasing does tend to encourage people to ride bikes more. So I think that's another difference, is people tend to choose biking more for trips when they have an e-bike than when they don't, extending their average cycling from about 1 or 2 kilometers a week to 9 kilometers a week. So that's about 1.5 miles to 6 miles per day. Yes, sorry, thank you. So I think why this is important to start looking at this is to see, how can we best plan for it, but also how we can plan to make sure it's supporting the community. So one reason I think it's a good idea to plan and kind of support this trend is just looking at the city. We have a fairly high average vehicle miles traveled per household compared to other cities. It's, it's not the highest, but if you look at other Western cities that tend to have similar development patterns, we are a bit higher than other cities like Albuquerque, which is slightly lower. Salt Lake City also slightly lower. And if you look at the average commute distance in Santa Fe, it's a little bit longer than what you typically would consider most average commuters would want to do for their daily commute. At about, this is just an average for the whole city, about 8 miles is the average. So if you consider that studies are showing the increase in the amount of miles people are willing to ride per day when they have an e-bike, there's a lot of potential to shift, to try to get those trips to shift to that type of mode. So I just did a back of the napkin calculation based on census data about average commute distance, and it could be about 19,000 commute trips that would fall into that range that we usually consider potential for mode shift for e-bikes, with being under 5 miles distance. And this is just another way of kind of visually representing how much more area could be covered through e-bike distances if you assume that people are going to be willing to extend how much cycling they do from 1 to 3 mile radius on the one's hand versus up to 5 mile radius on the other with an e-bike. So I think that's just one way of looking at it, and one way of looking at how policies might be able to help leverage the e-bike trend to shift travel behavior for the better in the city. But yeah, any questions? Yeah.
I saw Tony first.
Thanks, Gary. Did you happen to investigate other cities and counties' policies,
Oh, their policies?
their effect had?
I didn't for this. I do know, I know there are a lot of other cities that are, kind of encouraging e-bike use by offering things like rebates. I know cities like Denver, I worked in that city when they were doing that. It was extremely successful, and they got a lot of data through that program on how people were shifting behavior because of the rebates and getting e-bikes. But I haven't done a national search of how that compares to other places. And I think there's also, if you're more curious about like the regulatory management piece, I do know that that's been another thing that I know like states have also taken. Again, I'm coming from Colorado, where the state allows e-bikes at a statewide level on all trails unless they're restricted. So any class 1 or 2 e-bike is allowed. And so cities can still add restrictions on that. Most cities allow them and have a speed limit. It's not typically enforced. So, but yeah, I think it's usually posted, signs. So the types of things that this committee is looking into, I think, are consistent with what other places I've seen doing in that respect.
Sorry, Steve.
I understood correctly, one of the first slides, you did some analysis on the trails of how many e-bikes are being used.
Yeah, I just compared the share of e-bikes on each
How did?
trail from
Excuse me.
2023. That's just from Strava data. So again,
Okay.
so that's not, yeah, I should have caveated that. That's a small slice of I mean, as a general rule in planning, we assume it's like 10% of actual use, 10 to 15%. So it's pretty skewed data. It's hard to generalize from that, but it gives us some idea of where recreational users tend to like to ride.
Just curious, because there's many times I get passed by somebody and, oh, that was an e-bike, because a lot of them have very quiet motors now and they're
Mhm.
sleek designed. You got to really look
Yeah.
carefully sometimes to figure out it's an e-bike.
Yeah, they maybe don't have the requirement that cars do to have the noise.
Judith.
Thank you, Chair. So I have questions for you, Carrie, and also for Leah. It seemed like some of us were very surprised to find out the average speed, because I think a lot of us have experienced people whizzing by at what seems like a high speed.
Yeah, and that
That's the limitation of the data.
yeah, and I did look at max speed too, because I don't think the average is a good way of representing that. But I'm not really sure how accurate that was either, because I was I was surprised by it. Like the highest speed on segments with a high share of e-bikes, 26 miles per hour, which wasn't any higher than the segments that only had. And I don't think Strava is really the best way to analyze that question. So they don't have a separate category for e-bikes. So it's all kind of aggregated together. You can only kind of try to parse it out by seeing, okay, are there any segments where there are no e-bikes, and comparing that.
Okay. And I was curious about the response to regulation, which it sounds like we don't have that information yet, but I was wondering if there was a lot of pushback in communities that have tried to regulate speed or locations, because a lot of the people I know are supportive of some kind of regulations, which we understand are hard to enforce. And I was just wondering about the users and if they would be like, no, we do not need to be regulated. Just curious.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that, but I don't know. You could definitely look into that question of how challenging it's been to adopt regulations
Mhm.
caused in each.
Okay, thank you. And I had a question for Leah too. So I answered a senior citizen survey recently, and I was wondering, did you get funding from AARP? Like, where did that originate from? I thought it was a really good survey, had photographs and all kinds of really good questions. And how have you distributed that out? I sent it to a bunch of my senior friends, of course.
Yeah. Chair Member Gabriel. Yeah, that came about because I just happened to meet the woman who's kind of in charge of administering the survey and has been for the past 6 years. I met her through a professional networking event, and she has been doing the survey nationwide for the past 5 years, and all those reports are available online. And I had used them before, so we just started talking, and she wanted to do some local case studies, and so we said we were interested in that because we know a lot of our population over 50, which I would not call everyone or anyone over 50 a senior citizen. But we have a lot of people over 50 who bike in Santa Fe, and then we also are working with Albuquerque. So that's kind of how that came about. We don't need any funding. We just modified the survey based off of the one that she's been using. So it's largely the same. And actually, Carrie was more here. I was gone during when they made all the survey edits. And we have until I think the end of September that we're gonna have the survey open. So we've done, a couple of things. I still like our email list, social media. I had Steve connect me with the SOBs. And there are a couple other things I want to do, like have the city communications team advertise it. And yeah, definitely thank you for sending it along, and any other ideas that you have, definitely open.
So would the communications team be working with some of the senior centers or the senior scene or?
That's a great idea. We should
Yeah.
do that. Yeah, thank you. I'll write that down.
I have a question about the bike racks. Are they mostly in this general area or are they spread out a little bit beyond the immediate downtown?
It's mostly the downtown area bound by Paseo de Peralta to the north and Alameda to the south.
Thank you both.
Mark?
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick, it's really a comment, not so much a question. I think the part of the problem with the Strava data is often those are past cyclists that have transitioned into an e-bike. And I think a lot of the offenders of the high speed on the trail, they don't have a Strava account.
Yeah, I know.
So I'm not sure.
I think it's the, at least anecdotally, but.
It's a small share and then they make a big wave because they scarce or startle or impact someone. So I don't know that it's worth doing it, but it's almost like it has to be like a traffic study where you have something that could measure. It's a lot more money and time and
Yeah. And if there are. Like, hey, where would we go? Oh. Yeah,
I'll think about it more. Okay, thank you. I appreciate you diving in and creating some initial data.
Thank you, Chair. Leah, now that you sat down, I remembered I had one other question about the bike racks. You could just clarify for us and for the thousands of people watching this on Zoom. The bike racks are all in the public right of way, correct?
That is correct.
Are they being set up so a bicycle will never hang over on the private property so we don't get any conflicts there with the adjacent property owner?
Yeah, yes, that
Great. Thank you.
What else? Oh, yeah, sorry. Someone else from the audience want to comment? You want?
Say from personal experience that, and then 3 seconds later, 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour, and it's like a winter day at 5 p.m. And so you're completely caught off guard. I think that's an education issue. There isn't any signage, there isn't any known guidelines or regulation. Not that you necessarily need to regulate, but like there's no information. I personally, when I switched to an e-bike from being a pedestrian on these trails, I had to learn what felt like a safe speed to me. And then I go to the AI and it said, yeah, no, actually, you better reduce that a little. And, and now I feel like every person I pass needs to feel like I've slowed down, that they are being passed at a safe speed, and that we have a positive encounter every single time. And that's not everyone's behavior. Thank you.
You can, yeah, come on up. I'm just going to respond real quick, which is that we're going to talk about signage today. So we're working on that.
Madam Chair and Committee, Al Spencer again, District 1. Yolanda Eisenstein and I were two of the people who worked on the draft city ordinance on e-bikes, and I believe it's similar to the one that the state passed. We made it very clear that to use these on trails, we defined e-bikes as class 1, 2, or 3. We were not too concerned about 1 and 2 because they max out at 20 miles an hour. We were a little concerned about using class 3, which max out at 28 miles per hour. What worries me is with the wonders of lithium batteries, we also have seen a plethora of mini motorcycles that are electric, mini dirt bikes, hoverboards, unicycles, none of which are regulated, some of which, in spite of that's our ordinance, which says 250 watts, some of these are 1,000 watts, 2,000 watts. Those are the things that I think we need to worry about because all bets are off when those are on the trails. I mean, the city police, when we talked about it a couple of years ago, defined those as motor vehicles essentially, and they really shouldn't be on any of these trails. And so I think going back to whether you use Strava, I mean, Strava self-selects for bike geeks like me. It's not going to include all these other categories. And I think the best thing to do is maybe set up a station on the the rail trail or the Tremiso Trail, which are very popular, big trails, and see actually what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. One of the things that came with the police being more fully staffed is that we do now have more officers on the bike patrol. And they have told me that they will be patrolling the trails on bikes more often. But we can ask if they are able to do speed, speed cameras or something with those officers.
They do. We talked about speed limits on sidewalks a couple of years ago, and we changed what we were proposing to 10 miles an hour because the police said they couldn't read 5 miles an hour. So they said we can read 10 miles an hour. So please put it there. So I know they can do it. It's just a matter of whether they have the staffing, which I guess they're in better shape now.
They're in better shape. Yeah, I'm just not sure if those officers have speed guns, but we can ask. I can find out.
Okay. Yeah, sorry to monopolize this. I just spent too much time on this board.
No problem. Carrie, Leah, do you have anything else to add? Oh, thank you. All right, moving on to discussion and possible action items. We have roadways and trails project under consideration for ICIP FY 2028-2023. I will let Sean Moody, our Public Works Capital Project Manager, explain what all those letters mean.
Hey, committee. Sean Moody, Public Capital Planning Manager for the city. Romella is also a capital planning manager, but she focuses on the roads. Mine is broader on all of the city's infrastructure, a big portion of which is roads. What Romella asked of me, and I think from you, Councilor Vigali, is a quick presentation of the bicycle and pedestrian improvements that are in the capital planning list. And I'll just introduce that capital planning list as to what it is, what it does, and how it comes about very, very quickly, hopefully in just a paragraph, and then open myself up to your questions. The city updates its 5-year capital plan across all of its capital needs every year. This is the cycle in which it occurs. It's called an infrastructure capital improvements plan. It's drawn from all the departments, essentially reporting their capital needs, whether it's a building improvement or a repair to a road or even equipment, put together into a list that the governing body will review and adopt at the end of this month every year. The purpose of it is to provide a platform for us understanding our medium-term capital planning, but also for external funding agencies to understand our capital planning and to support it as they will with funding. So this capital plan is focused on the state legislature, but in fact, it's used by other funding agencies, many of which Romella is the liaison with federal and state. So from that master list, which this year has about 90 projects on it, totaling about $900 million in work, we progress work on the order of across the city, roughly $50 or $60 million a year. From that $900 million list, we don't expect it, certainly not all to get done this year, but also not to successfully complete it over 5 to 7 years. It's aspirational. It's also a plan, and it's meant to encompass all of the city's thinking about its capital needs. So that's the broad scope in which Romella and Councilor Figali have invited me to present. I really, of those 90 or so projects on the list that's in progress, about 24 of them are related to bicycle and pedestrian. The way I represented it actually in a draft is equity related projects. So rather than economic development or, basic human needs, this was about equity in the use of our common space. So that's how I filtered the list. It was my take in the progress of the broad ICIP. The council will be, the governing body, will be approving the whole list at the end of June, but then in the months of July, August, we will develop out the priorities, and that's where the secret sauce comes in. So among the 80 or 90 projects, the council, the governing body will be asked to prioritize among them and also to produce a short list for the consideration of our legislative delegation. So that's how it functions. That's where we are. And that's how this list was created.
Thank you. Any questions? Steve?
Thank you. I have a question regarding the categorization of the bicycle pedestrian projects. Some of those seem like they're purely trail things of one sort or the other, or pedestrian bridge. Whereas some of the projects seem like they just be part of a normal reconstruction of a roadway. So how did you make the distinction of what goes under that category?
Yeah, it wasn't a hard distinction. What is true is that every single road rehabilitation or reconstruction will come up to our ADA code for the rights of way or PROAG conditions. So even if it's considered a road reconstruction, and actually Ramella is the expert in this, I'm not. So I'd ask her to respond more cogently to your question. But every single road reconstruction will become more pedestrian bicycle friendly.
Thank you, Sean.
Good, thank you. Take care.
Yes.
Madam Chair, can I request the committee? So you will notice that we included, for this year, there are a number of new projects that we included in this ICIP. Number one is the Arroyo and Medio, which is in District 2, and that's the back of the apartment to the Albertsons. Yes, and so that's I would like to suggest to the committee to advocate for District 2 to make it as District 2 priority. And then we also included Calle Mejia reconstruction. I don't know if you remember that in maybe 2 or 3 years ago, there was a request from the manager of the condominium to add bicycle lanes on Calle Mejia before we constructed the Cañada Rincon Trail. And it was in fact in your strategic plan. Before our traffic engineer, Jean Wolfenberger, left last year, she told me that it's already funded, that she put some funding for design, but actually did not happen. So we included it in the ICIP, and if District 1 councilors, our chair, will prioritize it as District 1 priority, then we have a chance to get some funding to start the design. And that is how we started a lot of these projects, design projects like Tierra Contenta Trail. It was a District 3 priority for, I think, 4 years ago, and we received capital outlay funding, and that we leveraged that funding to get construction funding from federal government. And the governing body will be prioritizing, top 5 priority projects. In the past, that's what they did. So I would like to suggest to the committee to also advocate for 3 BPAC projects. Last year, there were no roadways and trails projects that were prioritized, even for district priority. All were parks project. Am I correct? So this year, please advocate for number 1, Henry Lynch intersection improvements project. no, Henry Lynch Road Reconstruction and Roundabout Project. For the total project, we need $15 million. But because of the construction cost, there will be two phases when we go to construction. Phase A is the roundabout from La Paz Lane, which is city jurisdiction, to Agua Fria, which is county jurisdiction. This is a joint project. The design team prioritized the construction of phase A because that's a complete project. Second is the St. Michael's Drive Rail Trail Underpass project, which currently we need about 25 million to construct. There is some federal funding for that. But if the governing body prioritizes this project, it's much easier to get federal funding. The third one, which is a BPAC project, is the Bishop's Lodge Road Reconstruction Project. That project, I think we need about $20 million. I think it's in your packet. I don't remember these amounts anymore. So a lot of bicyclists and pedestrians are really, I get a lot of emails to push for that project, to construction. So Bishop's Lodge Road, the design of that project is complete for 2 years now. It's about time to push it for construction. That's all, Madam Chair.
Tony.
Thank you, Romella, and thank you, Sean. And I apologize in advance for it's an ignorant question, but could you help? I don't know how to interpret these funding numbers. It looks like nothing is funded, and yet these projects are continuing. How is that working?
Actually, being that Romella is the master of the funding, do you mind if I defer to you, Romella? How it made on the list is many of the projects that were in last year's list moved to this year's list if they didn't receive funding. The projects that have received capital outlay funding, which is what I track, Romella has other funding sources, they're listed in the second column where there's an entry. It will have been funded previously. But other than that, I moved projects, either new projects Romella put on the list this year, or last year's projects that weren't funded, I brought them into this year.
So projects that are included in the ICIP are not funded. For example, a Second Trail extension from Rufina to San Felipe, it's fully funded. We have construction funding from the federal government, so you don't see that. So the projects you will see in the ICIP list are those not funded. And that is very important because the first question, when you apply for funding for design or construction, either for state or federal, especially federal, they will look, number one, is it in the ICIP? Number two, is it in the SFMPO plan? Number three, I add like IFCIP, BPAC strategic plan, or bicycle master plan. The more plans that I put in there, the more points we get.
So that's why you're asking for us from this list to prioritize those 3 that you have mentioned, so they get that extra boost.
Yes, so maybe Sean can explain it better than me, but in December, or was it December or January? All the councilors will be invited into the
Sure,
piece.
sure, yeah. So the next step after this product will be put in front of the governing body on the end of this month, presumably adopted in some form. the next couple of months, the council will be asked to prioritize what it would like. And with the intention that our legislative delegation will receive from them through a booklet we produce, our priorities, city's priorities. The delegation will receive that booklet and meet for a presentation every year in about December. All of the city leadership meets with all of our delegation once a year and talks broadly about the city, but focuses also on its capital plan. And there's a opportunity for the delegation to be persuaded as to what they like. So the prioritization step that follows the adoption of this list is a very, very important process for the city to undertake and to present to the governing body. Now that, strictly speaking, it only puts a seed in the mind of our legislative delegation as to what we would like, and they make their decision about how they'll fund. But as Ramela said, it's a small part of the pie for all of road funding. And we all depend on Ramela to embrace the broad spectrum of funding opportunities for any road project or trail project. Whereas I'm trying to bring in all the capital projects in the city, I'm actually on the other side, just focused on a particular funding stream from the legislature.
Thank you. One more question, Romella. I understand the Mejia project because that is in our strategic plan, so we got to pay attention to that. But why, what's the rationale for choosing those other projects as priorities and not some others?
So the projects that were prioritized in the BPAC strategic plan were not originally in the Santa Fe Metropolitan Transportation Plan. Please note that one of your duties and responsibilities is to assist the SFMPO in identifying and prioritizing bicycle and pedestrian plans. So there are some cases, like for example, Bishop's Lodge Road, it was not in the MPO, but it was prioritized by BPAC. So when it was prioritized by BPAC, then we went to SFMPO. Can you please include this project? There are some like Pacheco Street bicycle and pedestrian project. It was a BPAC project too, and we found some money, and now we are designing that project. So these priority projects that we're suggesting is that, like for example, Henry Lynch, we're almost finished with the design. Bishop's Lodge Road, we're finished with the design. St. Mike's, we are going to finish the design this year. The problem is construction funding. So we want to push these projects to construction. So that's the main reason for prioritizing them.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, Judith.
Thank you, Chair. So what is the mechanism for us making these recommendations, including the District 2 thing that you are recommending, especially given that Tony and I are getting off, both representing District 2? Do we need to make a motion here to prioritize these or make recommendations to the governing body?
I think that's the role of the chair.
So I think you can bring something forward as a subcommittee, which will meet, presumably before our next governing body meeting. This I believe the governing body will vote on the list before BPAC meets again, but I think you're all welcome to send letters as an individual as part of BPAC or to make comments that way. And you can also, contact the District 2 counselors for that particular project.
So that's just as individuals, because Tony and I will no longer be representing District 2 after this evening. So
Nope, you're still representing until next month.
We are?
Yep, we have not appointed more other people yet.
Well, thanks for letting me know.
Don't do anything crazy, just,
We have a say. Solution.
nope. I'm stuck.
So, when we do that, we can reach out directly as BPAC members to our district representatives. So, so can we just get straight what, where these are? Bishop's Lodge is District 1, correct?
Yes.
St. Mike's, District 2. And Henry Lynch,
St. Mike's is the,
oh, it
Order.
might be,
so it's 2 and 4. I'm pretty sure, depending which side of the street.
and, Henry Lynch.
District 1 and the county. Okay, part of it's District 1. Traditional Historic Village. Yeah.
Wait, so
The
1 and 4?
Plaza on the north side of Henry Lynch is in District 1. I know that part. But yeah, it's District 1 and 4. Yeah.
And then you suggested that we advocate for this Albertsons Trail.
Yeah.
The trail behind Albertsons. So do we need action items? Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, this is an action item, so if you want to make a motion, you're welcome to do that.
You doing it?
I move that BPAC adopts these 5 projects that Romella has just articulated as priority projects to take to the governing council, governing body.
I second.
Great. Ramella, is that enough information for you?
Thank you.
Can we get a roll call? Yes, please.
Member Gabriel,
Yes.
Member Gerlix.
Yes.
Member McConnell,
Yes.
Member Pilcher,
Yes.
Member Schiffmiller,
Yes.
Chair Fagali,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you. Okay, moving on, recommended signage for city trails, Judith Gabriel, subcommittee chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we were tasked, the Promotion, Education, and Communications Subcommittee, with making recommendations about signage for the trails. And we have a mock-up here that Chandler Moore, who is just able to do just about anything, I've realized. We realized that most likely these would be put on signs that resemble the signs at the parks, which is a standardized format. But we had suggestions about what the signs could say. And during the previous discussion about speed, what we discussed when we got together was more about slowing down, giving warnings when passing. We did not discuss actual directives around speed. Now, I do know that when we passed the e-bike ordinance, the language recommended by legal counsel was something like travel at a speed that is reasonable. So in addition to discussing what we're putting forward here, I guess we need to have a conversation about, should we be addressing speed in general? if we can't measure it or enforce it, what is the point of that? So I guess I'd like to open it up. We have one page with this mock-up on it and other wording that came up at our meeting, and we also stole from the MPO's bike map, which has really nice succinct wording. And just would like to hear people's comments, suggestions, and recommendations. And then, of course, we would like to talk about where the money's going to come from. We also talked about putting these signs up at every access point for a trail, so that whenever you get on a trail, right there, you know how you should be behaving. So opening it up for discussion.
Ramella, could we get the sign up and could you shrink it so that we can see the full sign? Yeah, if you could just there you go. Yeah. It's basically the full sign. Okay, we'll open it to the public comment first. If anyone from the public wants to, I can't see half of the chairs, so I have no idea if anyone's over there, but yeah, come up and
District 2. The first one, bikes yield to pedestrians, does not address the class 3 e-bike zipping by other bikes.
So you're saying that that is not an appropriate directive.
So bikes yield to pedestrians. I can still see, well, if there's a class 3 biker going at 35 miles an hour by other bikes. Let's say so.
Thank you.
okay. Good point. Anyone else from the floor? Okay, anyone on the, oh, okay. Yes.
At a lot of trailheads, you see a graphic that's typically a triangle and it shows the yield, who yields to who. And it's a really nice visual because you don't have to read anything. You can just see by the arrows of the signs, you know, which mode of travel yields to whichever other mode of travel. I would recommend something like that, especially considering the e-bike situation, like where e-bikes would yield to regular bikes yield to pedestrians, pedestrians yield to dogs. I guess.
Usually horses are, I think, are included in there.
Horses, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we're not wanting to include horses.
Well, sometimes there's some on the river trail, but not often.
And actually, I saw somebody on, well, these are private trails, the trails over off of Governor Miles on a horse, and was told that that person rides on the trail regularly with the horse. So do you think a picture of an e-bike would be distinguishable from a picture of a regular bike?
They're usually indicated by a little lightning
Okay.
sign, I believe.
Yeah, I think we could find something. I have seen that graphic.
I just in general recommend less, fewer words, more universal signage.
Good point. Anyone else want to? Do you want to come down and tell us? Or- No, it's okay.
Yeah, right.
Was that your full comment?
Thank you.
Okay, anyone on the committee?
So that we have a very wordy thing here. Slow down to pass, announce your approach, and use your bell. It's required. And I think a lot of people, at least previously, I was one of them, did not know a bell was required by state law. So I think it's important to mention that. It's also important to slow down to pass. And it's also important for people to announce their approach. So if people have suggestions on how to make something like that more succinct, I think that could be really helpful because it's all important information.
I'm going to make a comment. So I actually really like this sign with all the words. I feel like it is definitely more geared towards pedestrians though, who also should know what is happening. It does seem like a lot to read if you're on a bike. But, you know, if you're walking your dog and the dog is sniffing the post, you can have time to read it. But, yes, I do think that having something with the top part of this, the bikes yield to pedestrian, slow down, give warning, pass on the left, and bikes yield to, you know, e-bikes yield to analog bikes, could also be something like that. I don't know if it's required to use your bell. It was actually a discussion I was having with someone who works at the DOT. Is a requirement to have one? But I think you could, I mean, because usually I ring my bell well before I get to people, and then I talk to them.
Uh-huh.
when I get to them. So
It's required to have one, but not to use it.
so far as I know, yep. Lights also, I think, a rear light.
Yeah, I think it's required to have one and then you use your judgment as to when it should be used.
Yeah.
One, I don't think posting a speed limit makes any sense because we probably can't force it and it's
Yeah.
kind of fruitless. And
I
think when we
I
did,
disagree with that.
well, we did some checking this a few years ago on some really big bicycling cities. They basically just emphasize courteous behavior.
Could you speak
Yeah.
into your microphone a little more, Steve, please?
They just basically emphasize courteous behavior, but they don't establish speed limits. I know that I found that for Portland, Oregon was that way, and that's a big bicycle town.
Well, I could see that, but there should be something. I think posting, I don't know if we would call it a speed limit or maybe a recommended speed, but just something so people know you shouldn't be going too fast. And be courteous is relatively meaningless. Nobody knows what courteous is anymore. And the other issue I have, I like the sign as pedestrians stay to the right. Very, very often when I'm riding, I give an audible signal to pedestrians and there is no response whatsoever. Either they're just not paying attention or they have earbuds. And I have a bell and I have a really loud electronic bell. And I give the first bell, and if there's no response, I give the electronic bell, and then they get all pissed off. But about 50% of the time, pedestrians on trails do not respond to audible signals in my experience. I don't know what to do about this, but I just wanted to point
As
that
a
out.
as a response to that, before I get back to you, I do know that there are a fair number of e-bikes that have speedometers. So I do think that potentially posting a speed limit recommendation, something just so that people have an idea that like, oh, 30 is too fast. You know, if their bike tells them how fast they're going.
Well, I was going to point out, if we're trying to save space, maybe do something with that second. Everyone can stay to the right. Bikes, you move to the left to pass. So there might be a way to save a little verbiage.
Well, that's why I liked the MPOs, keep right, pass left. It was pretty simple. It's talking to everybody and says it all.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think my comment will be repetitive to Steve's, but I really do think encouraging courtesy can do more work than trying to have an unenforceable. I think you could have a suggestion on speed, but I think I think accentuating the positive and focusing on the courtesy is where the best money is spent.
Yeah, I also go back to when we were writing the ordinance, which is called an e-bike ordinance, but really it's about bikes on trails. That the legal folks from the city did not want to put a speed in there. And I presume there's a very good reason for it, whether it is not measurable, not enforceable, whatever. So, and I don't know who these signs would need to be approved by. But also, Gary, I have a different experience than you on the trails, and it could be because I'm a yeller, not a ringer. And I mean, I have a bell and I use it now, but I really feel like it's important to announce your approach verbally. Because when I say on your left or passing on your left, people are responsive. So I Just want to put that out there, that I have a different experience, and maybe it's like people not knowing where the bell is coming from. I don't know. And I've mentioned this before, that my husband doesn't hear very well and he cannot hear bells. You might hear your electronic one if it's really loud. So I encourage people to use a bell and to announce that they're coming. And I don't know if that needs to go on the sign or what, but we could certainly do some education around some of these things in addition to putting the signs up.
In my experience, yeah, usually I do the bell well ahead of time because people tend to just sort of start if they hear it and not move. And then I usually say bike on your left, and that seems a little more clarifying than passing on your left.
One final comment on the courtesy part. When I pass someone and they acknowledge the bell or my on your left, I always tell them thank you, because I want them to have a positive experience to being passed by a cyclist.
Judith, does that give you some direction for maybe some revisions, or what would you like to do?
Let me see if I got this straight. Less words, use some symbols and pictures. And we don't want to just focus on bikes yielding to pedestrians. We want to talk about who yields to who. And I guess a question is it important to include the animal issue? Do people think that's important? And are we recommending that we not address speed and we address courteousness or respectfulness instead? Like to get a general impression.
I'd say the animals is an issue. There's frequently people walking their dog and they're on the right side of the trail. Their dog's wandered over to the left side of the trail, and wouldn't be worried, except I'd hate to run into a lead. Sure you can.
How hard? While you're riding. I might recommend us having two signs, sort of one geared more towards pedestrians, one geared more towards cyclists. One with more words and addressing dogs or other pets, geared towards the pedestrians. And then one that's way more visual, that's geared at cyclists. Although, I mean, they should all know stay to the right except to pass, but and I do think leaning more on courtesy than absolute speed is probably better. Anyone on this side have comments on that?
So two signs sort of back to back on either side of the trail, something like that, one that grabs pedestrians.
Yeah, maybe cyclists closer to the intersection and then pedestrians a little bit further in. That would probably be my suggestion, Gary.
I agree. I think the more symbol-oriented sign, better for bikes than the words for pedestrians. And you had mentioned at every access to the trail, and I think also at every access to the trail, we should have a sign that says motor vehicles prohibited.
Yes, that'd be good. There are a few, but yeah. Did you have something?
Test. I have just a quick thought.
Can you just give your name, please?
Oh, Irina Osula, District 1. I have a quick thought that from personal experience, and I'm not sure this is all for bike paths, correct? Paved. Just a thought, and I'm not sure if this plays into maintenance and everything. But could there somehow be put a center line down the middle, because then everyone sort of already understands, like, okay, I need to stay to the right. And then when they're passing, they're watching to see if someone's coming. So then when they're passing going around of a center line, it's sort of an unspoken rule. You stay to the right of the center line. And the same thing with dogs. Dogs aren't going to be running across. And so just a thought of this of a center line, because then it's an unspoken rule of staying to your right versus like people will be walking through across right down the middle and then like get mad if you're like passing on your left and they're all the way across.
Yeah.
Just a thought.
Okay. I know we do have a few places where there are center lines for, a short distance, but it could be something we look into. I'm not sure what the feasibility is of that.
Yeah, and I've also seen arrows.
Yeah.
indicating you're going this way on the right, you're going this way on the left, and that could be used instead of or in conjunction with a center line.
The only thought is the maintenance, because with center lines, painting, yeah, my thought with the center line is it's there for a few years and it doesn't necessarily wear out and doesn't create arguments.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
So the PEC subcommittee apparently will meet one more time. And we will try and narrow these down and resubmit them for approval to the BPAC for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Oops, Steve, you got something?
Did we figure out if there's money to pay for these?
Oh, yeah, thank you. I knew I was forgetting something. Yeah, so I think this is going to come up during the strategic plan update because there was a question in there about the $100,000. Is this maintenance? It doesn't seem like it, but we do need to find out how we are going to fund these signs.
So we can get this funded through road impact fees because there's something in road impact fees called bicycle improvements. So that's how we funded the wayfinding signage. And for the center line, if Member Miller can can recommend it for the Acequia Trail extension. And we are going to finish Terra Contenta in a month or two, but I can request the project manager if we can do a change order. It's a federally funded project, so I do not know if they will accept a change order at this late of, but if the technical review subcommittee can recommend that, then I will ask the FHWA if we can do a change order on Tierra Contenta. Tierra Contenta is a safe route to school trail that connects the Tierra Contenta subdivision to the Ortiz Middle School and Sweeney Elementary School. We will complete the construction in July. So that's your, there are some opportunities for funding, but I'm confident that we can find funding for signage. However, we need to involve Director Melissa McDonald because we construct the trails, but Parks and Open Space maintains the trails.
Oh, I think we can find funding for the signs. Yeah.
So my question is this a request of Melissa McDonald or a recommendation? How does that work?
I believe once we have design or designs, and also if we have a recommendation, something like motor vehicles prohibited, which we already have a design for, then we can recommend those, and then Ramel and I can work on.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Please stop.
You hear me, Chair? So I got the budget template in front of me, and in the statement for your 100K, it does have a comment that says set aside for bikeway / trail improvements and maintenance per Mayor Garcia, 3/24 of 26. So to me, 100K, that the signage would be improvements. You're improving the trail and parkways. So I think you can use some of that towards signage.
Great. Yeah. So we'll find it somewhere. Yeah, and maybe for paint as well. I also have asked if we can get more bike like bike lane symbols painted in the bike lanes because there's about one per block and some of those blocks are half a mile long. So sometimes it's hard to tell if they're bike lanes. Okay, strategic plan update, Steve Pilcher. Thank you.
This has been a project long in the making. I forget when we first started working on this, and thank both Ramella and Judith for giving me some notes back. Hopefully you've all had a chance to take a look at this. There's too many little tweaks, I think, to run through them one by one. So I'd be more curious if you had questions, comments about any particular, excuse me, recommended change. I think Ramella left a few notes in the document about questions for us about where things should. I see Judith nodding her head. You want to comment or?
Yeah.
Romella did ask a few times for me to provide an update, and I have a list of those here. I was wondering how detailed the updates should actually be. They've been fairly general in the past. And we have updates related to surveys. We can mention the $100,000. That was one of the recommendations. And there were some recommendations about our partnerships and I was wondering if there's an easier way to find out, for instance, how many city advisory committees or city departments have come to our meetings and been represented. And I could just hand over my notes so we don't have to go through them here, because I did try and answer the questions that you asked, Romella, but I'm not sure how you would like to proceed. One of my questions that I couldn't answer was, we talked about a bike summit. I know the funding was not received. I know we're talking about having it. And we'll need more information about that for us to submit that information, but how would you like to proceed, Steve and Romella? Us handing in more written comments and requests, in answer to requests for us to provide more information, or how?
Yeah, I think that might work well. The document's a little bit funky to work with, as we discovered. I think when we were working on this, we found out you had a different version than I was working on, and there's some confusion in that regard. And because of all the tables and stuff, it can be a little bit strange working your way through this. But if you want to get comments to me, then I can make changes and get them back to Ramella. That's okay. Probably need them in the next few weeks or so.
The way we did this in the past is the whole committee went through each updates or changes or amendments page by page. And if they say, oh, okay, I'm okay with that, it's because, everyone must be involved. But if that's how you want to do it, because we need to adopt the amendments. I don't know if other members of the committee doesn't agree with the amendments.
Romella, when you say the committee members get together, are you talking about the subcommittees?
No, the whole committee.
What,
Remember in the past, that's why it took us to the first update. It took us about 2 or 3 meetings before we were able to adopt the amendments. It's the same thing with the second update. This is the first meeting that we will talk about amendments, because not every member of BPAC read the strategic plan or made some changes or recommend some edits. Not everyone, only Member Pilcher.
Yeah.
Gabriel.
Ramella, are the amendments the comments in this version that we have online?
The the amendments are in red.
Okay.
We put it in red. All the updates are in red, so that this is June, the update is June 11, 2026 update.
Okay, I see it.
So everybody has received the amendments because we all received this in our packet.
Mm-hmm.
And some of us have to provide a little more information.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Does everyone agree with the comments or the amendments?
Well,
A lot of these are questions.
And what I did was I only commented, well, I had thoughts about some of the stuff that wasn't under the purview of the PEC subcommittee,
Mhm.
but I really only responded to the amendments that were to be led by PEC. And I don't know how others approached it.
I doesn't, so I would recommend that everyone can submit written comments to Steve. You're in charge of this. And then once you've sort of read through them and digested them, then we can go through and we can talk about them maybe at our next meeting. I realize you won't be here, but and go through them and approve the changes. Or at least start to approve the changes. That way, Steve will know what the general will is if something is incorrect or, something needs to be changed. And then we can go through that with Steve's recommendations on final changes, we'll say. That way.
Yeah, and you'll notice there's a few places where there's a conflict between what our plan says and what's in the enabling resolution for the committee.
Yes.
When we do design review,
Mhm.
figure out, we keep that in and kind of say, well, we're going to push to have a more inclusive approach, which would require presumably amending the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
there's issues like that to take a look at.
So we need to add that as a task. Amend resolution 2023 dash and what are the amendments that we need
Yeah.
to do for the resolution. And I was doing the PowerPoint for the presentation to the governing body on June 24th. And one very important task that is not in our strategic plan is the function of the technical review committee, which is in your duties and responsibilities, is to review the capital projects plans, all roadways and trails capital projects plan sets or drawings. So, but we can discuss it next meeting. But that's a very important task that is not in the strategic plan.
Okay. So that needs to be added. All right, so,
Well, and I guess it goes without saying that we need to encourage all the BPAC members to take a very close look at this so that they can come back with either support for or comments or concerns about what some of these amendments are, or even, things that were originally in the strategic plan that the newer members may have different ideas about.
The new members that are coming in, they're not aware, they're not familiar with the strategic plan. There will be some questions or many questions. What is this? So we need onboarding, Yeah.
so we'll send in written comments to Steve and then we'll come back and
Yeah.
talk about it with our,
And when do these comments need to be to you, Steve? Can you give us did you just ask that? No. All right.
The next couple of weeks, possible.
Okay.
so. Let's say, let me get a calendar by,
It's a good,
June 27th or 26th is Friday, 2 weeks from tomorrow.
let's do that and then get those together. Maybe if I make the changes quick enough, we get them sent out to everybody well in advance of next month's meeting. So there's plenty of time We'll look at it.
Just one question. Where does the document live? Is it on a shareable, like Google Drive or SharePoint or
It's-
something that, how do you access the document?
The easiest way is through the online agenda for today. It's on there. You should be able to download it from that. And that has, I believe, all the comments so far, Romella's comments.
So there's also a ooh, sorry. It
Does it
is on
come
the
up-
BPAC website, but then it wouldn't have
Yeah, it doesn't
these
have the comments.
comments. You want a working document, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
I want a working document and sometimes in my past life, everyone works on a document and that may not be appropriate for this, but
I don't know that we have that capability and it's a PDF, so it's
no.
complicated.
Well, still
Yeah.
possible.
But yes, I think just getting it off of the agenda from today.
I will
be the
do so.
easiest.
Thank you.
Okay. That was the strategic plan updates. All right. Annual presentation to the governing body, Romella. Michael, can we get the, oh, there it is. It's back up. Thank you.
So this is a draft. Chair Fegali and I requested the clerk's office to present our accomplishment report because yearly we do that, but we did not do that last year. So this is a draft. I do not know if we can get on the agenda for June 24. And this is based on the strategic plan that is, the current, not amended. So you all know this is a draft. So I put the resolutions that created the Bicycle and Trails Advisory Committee in 2003, and it was amended in 2021. It changed the name from Bicycle and Trails Advisory Committee to Bicycling and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Oops, sorry. And I put the purpose: provide input and advice that makes bicycling and walking in the city of Santa Fe safe, equitable, viable, and comfortable modes of transportation, commuting and recreation. Deliberate on city projects, plans, and policies that impact both on-road and off-road bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure, and advise the governing body on such matters. That we have 10 members. One is city councilor that chairs our committee, and currently it's Councilor Pat Fegali. And there are 8 members they are city residents representing 4 council districts and 1 county resident. There are now 4 subcommittees: policy, planning and law, promotion, education and communication, technical review, and an ad hoc subcommittee, which is the Vulnerable Road Users Task Force. We developed the BPAC strategic plan, which is a living document adopted on October 22nd, 2022. First update or first amendment was July 13, 2023. Second update was June 13, 2024. And I was very optimistic. The third update is today, June 11, 2026. The mission of the strategic plan is within 10 years by the end of the planning period, which is fiscal year 2033. The city of Santa Fe has successfully obtained the League of American Bicyclists Gold Level Bicycle-Friendly Community designation. We are only silver for many years now, increasing cities' bicycle ridership from 1% to 5.5%, and 65% of cities' arterial streets have bicycle lanes. Santa Fe has also improved its walkability score from 39 in 2023 to 56 in 2033. So when we developed our strategic plan, we identified key issues that we need to address to achieve our goal or our mission. The first one is to transition. It's how to transition to a multimodal transportation culture. Second issue is how to integrate land use and transportation planning. Third issue is how to enhance public participation in transportation decisions. And number four is how to promote transportation and infrastructure paradigm shifts. What is our strategy? Is to shift city policies, programs, and practices, including those of land use and public works, toward bicycle and pedestrian-friendly infrastructure to help people feel safe and more comfortable about traveling by bicycle or walking with other traffic. That's our strategy. And we develop an action plan that answers why, who will implement, how will you implement our action plan, what will be implemented, and when we will accomplish that action. So the action plan has 3 actions. Action 1 has 5 tasks, action 2 has 10 tasks, and action 3 has 6 tasks. Because this is an accomplishment report, I will focus on the accomplishments of BIPA. So the first action is formulate policies, programs, practices that would make travel distances to work, school, or shopping easily to moderately bikeable and walkable. So this action is focused more on policies and programs. So the first accomplishment is to amend the city's unified traffic ordinance to include e-bike regulations. We accomplished this in 2023 through e-bike ordinance number 2023-4. Was a great accomplishment. That was the first accomplishment of BIPAC. The second one is to advocate for Vision Zero as a city policy via a resolution. It was accomplished last year, and it's called the Vision Zero Resolution number 2025-41. There are ongoing tasks under this action. Number 1 is to assess bicycle and pedestrian connectivity. Second one is to monitor local ordinances and state legislation that will impact pedestrians and bicyclists. There are some wins. Senate Bill 69, which was became a law in 2023. It's called the e-bike legal framework. And the Senate Bill 73 became a law last year called the Idaho Stop for cyclists. Another ongoing task under this action is to work with land use department in updating the city's general plan and the land use code, advocate for bicycle and pedestrian friendly land use codes. Action 2 is assist public works and land use departments in ensuring that the design, maintenance, and construction of all city streets, including private ones, roadways, and trails, have appropriate bicycle and pedestrian facilities, appropriate means. Facilities are safe, equitable, viable, and comfortable. So, task 1 is facilitate the approval of implementation of the inspection and maintenance plan for on-road bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure resolution. We accomplished that in 2024. This was a hard fight and huge accomplishment for BIPAC. It was accomplished in 2024 by a resolution 2024-12. Another task is to facilitate the adoption and codification of complete streets. This is partly accomplished in 2022 by supporting resolution number 2022-46 called Complete Streets. This was facilitated by the SFMPO. Support SFMPO and Complete Streets Division in analyzing and developing traffic impacts management guidelines to replace the State Access Management Manual and the city's traffic calming program. This was accomplished in 2024, and the document is called the Traffic Impact Analysis Guidelines. BPAC supported the former traffic engineer, Gene Wolfenbarger, and SFMPO. Ongoing task. This is the missing critical task for BPAC. So I just added it. Review and provide recommendations on roadway and trail capital projects at all stages of design, from conceptual design through final plans to promote complete streets and Vision Zero principles. In 2025, BPAC's Technical Review Subcommittee has conducted design plan reviews for all roadways and trails capital projects, and on June 24, I will know the figure. Ongoing task. Assist the SFMPO in prioritizing bicycle and pedestrian on-road and off-road projects that support safety, equity, access, connectivity, and convenience. And in the strategic plan, we have identified projects there. All the projects are updated. And on June 24, I will have the figure and identify all those projects. And then another ongoing task is develop, evaluate, and monitor a set of indicators or performance measures that will indicate mission achievement. That is ongoing task. Another ongoing task is monitor PrimeGov regularly for early neighborhood notification meetings, for governing body meeting agendas for policies, ordinance, resolutions, etc., that affect bicycling and pedestrian safety, accessibility, and equity. Action 3, educate the public and raise awareness about active transportation modes and services. Accomplished task, develop a dynamic, informative, and engaging website. Link BPAC website to other city departments and partners. We accomplished that. Thank you so much, Member Judith Gabriel. She monitors our website. She requests the city communications group or team to update our website, and it's updated. It's current. Invite relevant city advisory committees to BPAC, staff liaison to notify all city employees of BPAC regular meeting with instructions how to add agenda captions in PrimeGov. And please, my colleague who is the ADA manager is attending our meeting regularly, is Mr. Daniel Lopez. So sometimes we get division directors, sometimes department directors. Develop partnerships with other government entities, NGOs, and private entities that are most aligned with BPAC's vision and mission. This is partly accomplished. We have strong partnerships with SFMPO, SRTS, which is the Safe Route to School, Bike Santa Fe, and the Santa Fe Conservation Trust. Ongoing. This is so wordy. We're running out of time. I will make it, I will summarize it for June 24. And this is a question from Member Gabriel, the Sport Bike Santa Fe in holding a bike summit. As you may know, I'm coordinating with communications and constituent services to hold the bike summit sometime in July or August, but there's a conflict because the New Mexico Conference on Safe Route to School will be held on August 27 and 28. And this is a summit. There are a number of people coming from Las Cruces, and I will give a presentation at that conference. And the Tierra Contenta Trail is one of the trails that participants will visit on August 27. And so my group is thinking that that will be the grand opening for the Terra Contenta, which is August 27 at 1 p.m. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Ramella.
Just have one comment, Ramella. The section you cited, the state level e-bike law and the Idaho stop law. I can't remember what it is, but last year they passed another law to make, I think, about 3 hours of training required as part of driver's
You
license.
put it in the strategic plan.
Yeah, so maybe that could be pointed out also.
I will add.
It was part of the same bill, they're saying. Well, is that not what you just said? Is it 73 a different bill? Okay,
73 is the Idaho stop. I think that's included.
yeah. Okay, yeah. We think. Any other comments from any members? No? So, yeah, at that meeting, hopefully we'll get confirmation that will be on the agenda, but that'll be the next governing body meetings 2 weeks from yesterday, June 24th. And we're hoping that the committee can make it, particularly the leaving members. It's your last chance to thank you for all your hard work in public where there might be people watching. Not that you all don't count, but there might be more people watching governing body. Okay, so our last discussion item is transition strategy for the vulnerable user task force. Gary, you are on here. Are you the one who's going to be talking about this?
Yeah, so because we have a couple of BPAC members leaving, right, we have to choose another chair for the vulnerable user task force. And not all members of this task force need to be BPAC members, is that correct? So I wonder if this might be an opportunity for Bike Santa Fe to have some representation on the vulnerable road user task force if we're amenable to that. You know, we have 2 board members from Bike Santa Fe here. So.
Yeah. I don't think your mic's on.
So subcommittee by resolution has, I think it's 4 BPAC members and 4 members from the community. But the task force, all those members from the community are already taken. So the problem is that the vulnerable road user task force, the BPAC members that were in that task force were member Schiffmiller, member Gerlix, member Wang is gone, member Gerlix is leaving. So you will be left
I'm the only
BPAC member, but you're already the chair of the technical review.
So we need to pick someone from the other 4.
From the other 4,
which
who is
I don't know if any of them are here right now.
Carl Spencer,
point them.
Bill Adrian, Irena
I'm still here. I
You
can't see.
already left. And another one, I forgot.
Our next meeting is actually Tuesday.
Okay.
So if we need to choose another chair, it needs to happen.
I think it would make sense to do it while people are there, to make sure they want to do it. And yeah, if you could pick a interim, I guess, or acting chair until we get our new members and we sort of reassess the situation, that would
I
be
have a
great.
question. If I'm no longer in BPAC, then I'm a member of the community,
Correct.
part of the task.
Correct.
So what-
No, yes, no.
But we've already maxed out on the numbers of non-BPAC members.
So is Tony going to be off of those committees then? You can kick someone else off, Tony.
No, if nominated, I refuse to accept.
Just a quick question. What has the committee been able to accomplish to
That's
date?
on the agenda.
Well, that's coming up. Okay.
Okay, so do you feel comfortable with choosing amongst yourselves at your meeting?
We will do so on Tuesday.
Thank you. Subcommittee communications, Judith, promotion, education, and communication.
I don't really have anything to report. The last thing we worked on was the signage. I just wanted to acknowledge and thank my subcommittee members, Angela and Tony, and then our community members, Randy Merker, who is in the audience, and Chandler Moore, who was in the audience, and John Pyle. It's been a great subcommittee to work with, and I appreciate everybody's enthusiasm and input and creativity and ideas. Thank
We
you.
appreciate you.
Thank you. Technical review, Gary.
Yeah, since the last BPAC meeting, which was April 9th, I believe, the Technical Review Subcommittee has been working on several projects, including the airport road restriping, Pacheco Street, pedestrian bicycling improvements, the Isakia Trail extension. Also the connection of East and West Zia through a potential trail. We've also worked on, of course, the Henry Lynch road project. And those are the projects we're working on, and they're all moving along.
Pacheco.
Did I not say Pacheco? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think you
I said
did.
Pacheco.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so Tony, do you want to tell us about the Vulnerable Road User Task Force?
Last meeting started with an apology from me that I had not convened the committee earlier and more often, but we are off and running. And we divided our tasks. Cal is investigating reports from UNM, which has a gentleman there that analyzes GPS data on crash sites. The League of American Bicyclists has great information. MPO has crash data, and Cal is forwarding me all of those documents. So we have those. My task was to look at the legislative committees that in the recent bills that were passed on the Idaho Stop and SB 73, there were investigative committees from the Legislative Education Study Committee and the Finance Committee that did research on all those statistics, and we have those as well. Gary's task was to contact the Department of Transportation and see what they are up to on this issue. And Irena Osola was very interested in, because of her background as a professional racer who has raced all over this country and in Europe, she's putting together data on what European countries do to reduce their crash data. And so we'll get together next Tuesday and attempt to slog through all of that enormous amount of information. But we will, and it may go on after that, obviously, but eventually we will come back with recommendations He's supposed to be, yes. That's where we are.
You'll pick a new acting chair.
I'm sorry. And we'll pick an acting chair, yes. Suppose.
Matters from staff. Anything from you, Ramella, or either of you? Nothing more? Matters from the committee. We'll start over here. Mark, do you have anything?
I read in the paper that since the Santa Fe Police is now fully staffed, they have a new division that's focusing on, is it traffic safety? And that includes their biking division. I wonder if we can get a representative from the police to address us and let us know what they plan to do with this biking division.
We have had some bicycle police, but I believe that we now have 4 instead of 3. But yeah, Ramella, maybe we could reach out to them and see if they would come talk to us.
And also we could let them know what we would like them to do.
Yeah, that would be great. Anything else, Gary?
I will be out of town on June, but we'll get materials.
Okay. Judith?
All I wanted to say is, since Steve, Tony and I are leaving, we are going over to Knuckles after this and everybody's invited.
Okay, matters from the chair. That's me. This Saturday at La Tierra at 10 a.m. there is a ribbon cutting for the new trash pit skills park. It has been redone and there'll be a party. So if any of y'all want to come to La Tierra on Saturday morning, that will be great. Yeah, the June 24th meeting, we'll be recognizing our departing members as well as Ramella giving her presentation. So I'm sorry you won't be there, Tony, but I hope the other 2 of you can make it and the other members as well, if possible. It'll be early in the meeting. Don't worry. It'll be hopefully first. It'll 5:15 perhaps. We are still looking for folks to apply. So the application deadline is the 15th. If you know anyone who wants to fill any of our open seats, or to join a subcommittee where there might be an opening. I don't know if any of them have openings, but it's always good to have people in reserve. And then I wrote signage, but I don't know why I wrote that. So I think that's everything for me. Our next meeting will be July 9th. Here in this room, 5:30.